Hey guys, welcome back to Daisy Crochet, or welcome if you're new. Today we are going to be making poinsettia flowers, and I'm going to walk you through step by step how to make these. I'm really excited. They're perfect for Christmas, and I'm going to be gifting these to my mom, so I hope that you have someone to gift these to, or you're just making these for yourself or selling them or whatever. So this video is going to be filmed over the course of a few days just because I'm currently at my apartment, so I do have my red yarn here with me, but I actually don't have the stem color here with me, and I also can't assemble the flowers here. So I'm going to be filming this part here, which will be the large red petals and the small red petals. So just keep that in mind. The background might change a little bit throughout the tutorial, but I hope you still enjoy it and find it very useful. As you can see, the petals are made and joined all together rather than made separately, which I really love. And then we're going to be assembling them by stacking them like this, and then we'll also be stacking the dark green leaves underneath. So that will be what creates our flower. These are nice and big. I am planning on doing 5 poinsettia flowers in a bouquet, but I will let you know how many I end up doing at the end. So moving forward to materials, this is what you're going to need. Starting off with a red yarn for the flower petals, and this is just a acrylic weight for yarn. And then other things you'll need is going to be a 4mm crochet hook. I like to use 4 just because it makes it a little bit tighter. I know a lot of people use really small hooks for flowers, but I don't because I don't like using them, so I just use them with this and it works fine. And then I also have a pair of scissors, and then I don't have the stuff with me, but I'm just going to explain what else you need. So you're going to need a glue gun, you're going to need flower wire. I use 18 gauge 12-inch flower wire. I have it linked in my Amazon if you want to buy it, but you can buy it pretty much at any like craft store or anything. I am also going to be using gold beads to do the center of the poinsettia flower. However, you could also use some yellow yarn, and I'll kind of be explaining at the beginning when we start out the red petals how you could possibly make the center with yarn rather than beads, just in case you can't get beads. But I am planning on going to purchase some beads because I just really love the way it looks. So yeah, that is the materials, and now we are going to get right into it, and we are going to start out by making the large petal flower. So again, I don't exactly know how many I'm going to be doing in the bouquet, but I'm planning on doing 5, so you're going to want to make a total of 5 of these and 5 of these, as well as 5 green leaves. Alright, so to start out by making this, we are going to grab our red yarn and our 4mm crochet hook. So we're going to be working this in the round, sort of, because we want to join all our petals together like at the same time. So we're going to start out by doing a magic ring. Also guys, just so you know, this is not going to be a complete like step-by-step explanatory tutorial where I show you how to do all the stitches, and like I'm not going to show you how to make a magic ring and everything like that. So if you need a little bit more background knowledge on how to do that before you start this tutorial, you can go ahead and watch our how to crochet video, or there's literally hundreds out there that you can watch. But this is just going to be a tutorial for people who kind of know how to crochet and are confident to make flowers. But trust me, you can do this even if you're a beginner. It just might take a little longer to learn the steps. So into this magic ring, we are going to be placing 10 single crochets, and we're not going to be doing a chain one. So I'm just going to place 10 singles right into this magic ring. And now I'm just going to close up the ring and tie a couple knots at the back just to secure it. And we are going to be doing a slip stitch into the first single crochet we made. So just going into that single crochet and placing a slip stitch. So now we have our circle, and this is how I would personally make the center of the poinsettia using yellow if I did not have beads. So I would just go into a magic ring and create 10 single crochets and then slip stitch at the end. this is what I would suggest, but again, I'm going to be using beads for this tutorial. Alright, so to make our large petaled part of the flower, we are going to start by chaining 13. And then into that second chain from our hook, we are going to be placing a slip stitch. And try not to make the slip stitches too tight, but also not too loose, just because it makes sense later because we're going to be working into them. So we are actually going to be slip stitching all the way down this chain. So you're going to have a total of 12 slip stitches in this chain that we made. So I'm just going to go all the way down this chain, placing one slip stitch in each all the way down. Alright, that was my last one. So now we are going to be placing 2 more slip stitches, but we're going to be going into the single crochets that we made in round 1. So just going into this first one here, I'm going to create a slip stitch, and then going into the second one, I'm going to create 1 more slip stitch. And then we are going to repeat. So we're going to start by chaining 13. And then we are going to go into that second chain from the hook, and we're going to be placing a slip stitch. And this is what we're going to be doing all the way down. So you'll again end up with 12 slip stitches in this chain. Alright, I made it down my chain, so now I'm going to be placing 2 more slip stitches just like before. So going into that first one closest to the one we just went into, going to be doing a slip stitch, and then in the next one, 1 more slip stitch. And this is the pattern we're going to be completing all the way around, so that you have a total of 5 of these chains and slip stitches. These are going to be our petals, so you want 5. And I will come back to you guys once I have finished my 5th and show you how to complete the next steps. Alright guys, so I just finished my 5th little petal here, so I'm just going to finish off with 2 slip stitches in the next 2 single crochets. And now we are going to start on actually making our petals. Alright, so for the large petals, we're going to start out by putting a slip stitch into the first single crochet. However, this is the opposite side of the single crochets, so it's not as clear where we're going to be placing them, but I just recommend kind of aiming for each of these little loops, or sometimes I will also go right in between, but you want to go into 12 total of them. You'll get what I'm saying after, but it shouldn't be too hard for you once you practice a little bit. But I just like to start by going into the first one right here, and I'm going to be placing a slip stitch, and then the next thing that we're going to be doing is placing 1 single crochet in that next one. So you'll see how it kind of is where they join, so right into that next one, a single. And then in the next stitch we are going to be placing a half double crochet, and we are actually going to be doing that in the next stitch as well, so we're going to be doing 1 more half double crochet, and then going into our next one we are going to be doing a double crochet. So this is going to make our petal start smaller and get larger. So there's our first double, and then in the next stitch we are going to be placing 2 doubles. So this is kind of like a double crochet increase. So there's one, and there is our second one, and we're going to repeat this in the next stitch. So we're going to be doing one double crochet and another double crochet into that same spot we just went into. And then in our next stitch we are going to be doing another double crochet, but just one this time. And then the top part is a little bit different than the bottom part, so we are going to be doing one half double, and then we will be doing a single crochet, and then in the last two we are going to be doing 2 slip stitches. There's one, and then I just like to go into this like loop that kind of sticks out at the top to do my final slip stitch. And then we are going to be turning the work, so just flipping it onto the other side, and this is now the correct like stitches to go into, so it's a little easier to do this side, but we're just gonna be working into those single crochet kind of V's at the top. So starting out in the first one, we are going to be doing a slip stitch. This is going to mirror the first side, just so you guys know, but we're obviously going to be doing it in a reversed order so that it matches. So we're going to be doing 1 slip stitch, and then in the next one we're going to be doing another slip stitch. And then in the third single crochet we're doing a single crochet, and then 1 half double in the next, and then 1 double in the next. And we'll be putting 2 doubles in the next stitch, so this is our double increase. And then we'll be doing 1 more double increase, so 2 doubles in our next stitch. And then our last double on this petal will be into the next stitch. And then we will be doing 1 half double into the next, and 1 more half double into the next, and then we will be doing a single crochet, and then we will be doing a slip stitch. And this is our first petal all complete. So I really like the way that it kind of gets smaller at the end, but it's nice and wide in the middle as well. And I also like how the bottom is a little wider than the top. I feel like it makes it look a little bit more realistic. So now we're going to move on, and we're going to do that by slip stitching into the next 2 stitches. So these are just these slip stitches that you made in the previous round. So going into those 2 slip stitches with 2 more slip stitches, and then we're actually going to be doing 1 more slip stitch, obviously, to start our next petal. I'm going to be doing 1 more petal here with you guys, and then you can either pause the video and create the rest of the petals on your own, or you can go back and follow along with me. So I'm going to be starting with a slip stitch, and then a single crochet, and then a half double, and another half double, and then our first double crochet, and then our first double crochet increase, so 2 double crochets into the same stitch, and then 1 more double crochet increase, 2 more double crochets into the same stitch, and then in the next stitch 1 double crochet. Then we'll be doing 1 half double, 1 single, and in the last 2 slip stitches. So 1 slip stitch in there, and then in the very last one 1 more slip stitch. Then we'll be turning our work and doing the same thing, but kind of in the opposite order here. So starting out with 1 slip stitch, and then 1 more slip stitch into that next stitch. And then we'll be doing 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then a half double, and then a double, and then a double crochet increase, one more double crochet increase, one more double crochet into that next stitch, and then our half doubles, so 1 into that next stitch, and then another half double into the following stitch, and then finishing it off with 1 single crochet, and finally 1 slip stitch. There is our second petal all complete, so there are the 2 together. And then just to move on to the next petal, we'll be doing 2 slip stitches into the 2 slip stitches we made in the previous run. And then we'll be moving on to the third petal. So like I said, I'm gonna let you guys decide if you want to skip back and follow along the tutorial with me again for the final 3 petals, or if you just want to pause, you can read the text on the screen or just go off memory and finish up the 3 petals, and then you'll just want to end with the 2 slip stitches at the end, but I will show you that. So I'm gonna go ahead, finish off these petals. It will end up looking like this, and then I'll show you guys how to finish this one off, and then we will move on to the small one. Alright guys, so I've just finished with the slip stitch to finish the last petal, so now we are going to be doing our final 2 slip stitches. And we're going to be fastening off. You don't need to leave like a big strand of yarn for this, because I'll just honestly be gluing down the strings underneath. So yeah, I'm just gonna do a little end there. And again, you're gonna want to make as many of these large petals as you want flowers in your bouquet. So I'm planning on doing 5, but I'll let you guys know if that changes. So there is our first little large flower, and now we're gonna move on to the small petals. So these small petals are going to start out the same way as the large ones, but they will not be the exact same pattern. So we are going to start out with a magic ring, and again, we're not chaining 1, we're just going to make 10 single crochets into the magic ring. And I'm just going to close up the ring, and again, just going to secure with knots. Now, just like on our large petals, we are going to be doing a slip stitch into that first stitch, and this is going to make our circle. So to start out the small petals, we're going to be doing a chain of 9. And similarly to the large petals, we are also going to be slip stitching starting in the second chain from the hook all the way down, except for this time we are going to be left with 8 slip stitches into our first chain. All right, we now have our 8 slip stitches. So we are going to be doing 2 more slip stitches into the next 2 single crochets from the first round. So there's 1, and there is 2. And then we're going to be doing another chain of 9 and then slip stitching down it for a total of 8 slip stitches. This is going to be what we repeat all the way around for 5 petals again, but I'll do one more with you and then I'll come back at the end to show you how to finish it up. So our chain, and then going into the second chain from the hook, slip stitching down. All right, and then going into those next 2 single crochets from round 1, we are going to be doing slip stitches. So there's 1 and 1 more in the next. And then we'll be doing another chain up of 9, slip stitching down for a total of 8, and then we're going to be doing it 2 more times for 5 petals. So I will come back once I've done that and we'll move on to the next step. All right, so I have just finished my 5th chain with the slip stitches, so now I'm just going to be finishing off this row by doing 2 slip stitches into the next 2 single crochets. And then now we'll be moving on to actually creating the petals. So this is going to be different than the last ones, just so you guys know, but I promise it's not too hard, it'll be fine. So starting in the opposite side, this is like the chain that we're going to be working into. So we're going to be going into that very first spot there with a slip stitch, and then in the next spot we are going to be placing a single crochet. And then in that next spot we are going to be doing 2 half double crochets. So we're going to be doing 1, and then that very same stitch we're going to be doing another one, so that's like kind of like a half double increase. And then in the next stitch we're going to be doing 1 double crochet, and in the next stitch we're going to be doing another double crochet, but just 1 in each. And then to finish off the second half we are going to be doing 1 half double crochet, and then into that same stitch we are going to be placing a single crochet. So this is an increase, but it's an increase made with a half double and a single. And then in the last 2 stitches we're going to be doing 2 slip stitches, just like how we ended the large petals. So there is my 2 slip stitches, and then we'll be turning the work. Now we'll be doing the same thing but in opposite order. So we're going to start with 2 slip stitches, and the next slip stitch into that next stitch, and then into the next stitch we'll be doing 1 single crochet and working back into that same stitch on a half double. So this is our increase, and then in the next 2 stitches we will be doing 1 double. So 1 double in this stitch, and then into the next stitch 1 more double. Alright, and then for the second half we're going to be doing a half double in the next stitch, and then we're going to be placing 1 more half double into that same stitch. So this is going to be our increase, but on the top half of the petal we do a single crochet and a half double, and on the bottom half we do 2 half doubles. And then into the next stitch we'll be doing 1 single crochet, and then to finish off this petal we'll be doing 1 slip stitch. Alright, and then to move on to our next petal we're going to start by doing 2 slip stitches into the 2 slip stitches from the previous round. And then I'll do one more petal with you guys just so you can get the hang of it. So starting out with one slip stitch. And then one single crochet. And then 2 half doubles, so a half double increase into the next stitch. And then next stitch we'll be doing 1 double, and then 1 more double into the next stitch. And then the next one we'll be doing our increase, but first we'll be doing a half double. And then to make it an increase, we're going to be doing a single into that same stitch. And then to finish this off, we'll be doing 2 slip stitches. And now we'll be turning our work and doing the same thing in opposite order once again. So starting out in this first stitch with a slip stitch. And then the next stitch we'll be doing another slip stitch. And then the third stitch we'll be doing 1 single crochet, and then into that same stitch a half double. So there is our increase, and then the next 2 we'll be doing 1 double. So there is 1 double in that one, and then in the next one 1 more double. And now for our second half of the petal, we're going to be doing a half double increase, so 2 half doubles into the same stitch. And then to finish it off, 1 single. And finally 1 slip stitch into that last stitch. And then to transition to the next one, we're going to be doing 2 slip stitches. And we're ready to start our third petal. So I'm going to be going and doing this off camera. I'll come back once I finish the 5th petal to finish this entire flower of petals up. And if you guys need to watch the video, just skip back and follow along with me again. But if not, just pause it and I will be back once I'm done my 5th petal. Alright guys, so I just finished my last petal and I've slip stitched to finish this off. So now I'm just going to cut off. And here is the small petals all complete. So you're gonna go ahead and make as many of these as you want flowers and the same number of these so that we can stack them and assemble them. And I will come back to you once I'm at home and I have my green stem colored yarn and we can finish these guys up. Alright guys, so I ended up getting some green yarn and it's really just from this whip, but I'm just taking it off the whip as I go. And you'll see that I have completed the first leaf. I've actually done 2 of them and I'm going to show you guys how to make them. It is not going to be the same pattern as the large petals like I originally thought, and that is just because I wanted them to stick out a little bit more than the red petals and look a little different. So this is how we're going to be assembling it, but obviously you don't have to do this yet. I'm just showing you what it's going to look like roughly. It will look something like this. So you can see that the leaves nicely stick out from behind the smaller petals. And yeah, I am super excited to show you guys how to make the green leaves. So let's go ahead and start that. So for the green leaves, we're going to be using our 4mm hook again. And this is just green acrylic yarn. I'm using a dark green. Usually I will use a lighter green for my flowers, but I wanted to do a dark green because I felt like it went really well with the red. It looks more like a poinsettia flower, and then also I feel like it's very Christmassy. So you'll notice my yarn is quite squiggly, and that's because I'm using like a project to make this. So sorry about that, but hopefully your yarn is not squiggly, and I promise it'll be fine. So we're gonna start out with a magic ring like we've been doing for all the other things. And then into our magic ring, we're going to be doing 10 single crochets, and again, we are not doing a chain one. So we're going to put 10 single crochets into that magic ring, and this is the exact same thing that we did for all of the flower petals to start out. Alright, now I have my 10 singles, so I'm going to go into that first one that we made, and I'm going to make a slip stitch. And now I'm just going to close up my ring and secure it with a couple of knots. Alright, and our leaves, like I said, are going to be a little bit bigger than the petals that we made, so I am going to start by making a chain of 15. And once you have your chain of 15, it's similar to the petals because we are just going to be slip stitching all the way down, starting in the second chain from the hook. So this is going to leave us with 14 slip stitches. Okay, I just completed my last slip stitch, so now we're going to be doing 2 more, one in each of the next single crochets. So there's one, and then into the next one more. And this is the pattern that we're going to be repeating around the whole thing. So we're going to do another chain of 15. And then we're going to slip stitch down it, starting in the second chain from the hook. This will leave us with 14 slip stitches again. And then once we get back down to the bottom of the chain, we are going to do 2 slip stitches, one in each of the next 2 single crochets, and then we will be repeating the chain. And then obviously, again, you're going to want to make 5 petals total, so just going all the way around following this pattern. And we're gonna end off with the 2 slip stitches like always, but I will come back once I'm doing that and show you guys, and then we will continue on with the rest of the leaf. Alright, I have just finished my 5th start of the petal. So I'm going to be doing 2 slip stitches to end this row. It kind of looks like an octopus or something right now, but I'll try and keep the little leaves out of the way so that you guys can see what I'm doing. So starting out on this first one, we're going to be making a slip stitch. And then we're going to be doing a single crochet, and this is working in like the bottom of the slip stitches, or I guess the chain that we made. So next we are going to be doing another single crochet. So you'll notice that this pattern is not the same as the large flower, as I said, but it is quite similar. So then next we're going to be doing a half double and then another half double. These are not increases though, we're going and placing one in each stitch. And then once we have that, we're going to be doing one double crochet in the next. And then this time we will be doing a increase, so we're going to be using double crochets, and we're going to be putting 2 doubles into the same stitch. And then we're going to do that one more time in the next stitch. So 2 doubles for a increase. And then we're going to be doing one more double in the next stitch. And then to finish up the top part, we're going to do 1 half double. And then we're going to do 2 singles. So 1 in the next 2 stitches. There's our first. There's our second. And then we're going to be finishing off the row with 2 slip stitches. And then we're going to be flipping our work. So I'm just going to go into this first stitch and then flip my work. And we're going to be doing 2 slip stitches in the next 2 stitches, so 1 in each. So we're just repeating what we did on this side, but we're doing it in reverse order like always. So we've done our 2 slip stitches, and then we're going to do our 2 single crochets. So 1 in that stitch, and then 1 in the next stitch. And then we're going to be doing our 1 half double. Now we'll be starting on the doubles. So the first one is just 1 double in the next stitch. And then a double increase, so 2 doubles into the same stitch. And then in the next stitch we're going to be doing 1 more double increase, so 2 doubles into the same stitch again. And then our last double on this sleeve will go in the next stitch here. And that's just 1 double, not an increase. Alright, and to finish off the bottom of this sleeve, we're going to be doing 1 half double in this stitch, and then 1 half double in the next stitch. And then we'll be doing 2 singles in the next stitches. So there's 1 single in that stitch, and 1 single in that stitch. And then our last stitch of the leaf is going to be a slip stitch right into that last stitch. And there is our first leaf all complete. So to move on to the next one, we're going to be doing 2 slip stitches. So this is just going into the slip stitches we made in the last row. So we're doing 2. And now that we're over to our next leaf, we are going to go ahead and start it. So I'm going to do 1 more leaf with you guys, and then as always, I'm going to let you guys pause the video and finish up the rest on your own, or you can skip back and follow along with me again. So we're starting out this leaf with a slip stitch, then in the next stitch a single, and then the next stitch is another single, and then 2 half doubles, so 1 in this stitch and 1 in this stitch. And then in the next stitch we're going to be starting our doubles, so 1 double in that one, and then the next one is going to be a double increase, so 2 doubles into the same stitch. And then we'll be repeating that, so another 2 doubles into the next stitch. So there's the 2 double increases, and then to finish off the doubles we're going to be doing 1 more in the next stitch, just 1 double, and then to finish up the top of the leaf we're going to be doing a half double, and then 2 singles, 1 in the next 2 stitches. So there's our first one, and then in the next stitch 1 more single, And then to finish off the top of the leaf, we're going to be doing 2 slip stitches. So there's 1 and there's 2. Now we're going to be turning. So I'm going to go into that first stitch, and this is the right side. So now we're working into those V's that we made with our slip stitches in the previous round. So there's my first slip stitch, and then in the next V we're going to make a second slip stitch, and then we're going to be placing 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So there's our first one, and there's our second one, and then we'll be doing 1 half double into the next stitch. Guys, my phone ran out of storage, so I kind of went a little ahead of you guys without noticing, but I'll just go back and we will continue together and hope I don't run out of storage. So we're going to be doing a double in the next stitch, so just 1 double, and then a double increase, one more double increase, and then 1 more double, but just 1 in that next stitch. And then next we'll be doing 2 half doubles, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. So there's 1, and there is 2. And then we'll be finishing off the bottom of the sleeve with 2 single crochets. So there's 1 in that first stitch, and then in the second stitch 1 more, and then finally 1 slip stitch. Alright, there's our second leaf. There's the 2 together. So to move on to our third leaf, we're just going to be doing the 2 slip stitches like always, and then we will start. So I'm going to go ahead and do the last 3 leaves off camera, and then I will kind of tell you what our next steps are going to be. So I will see you once I have completed my 5 leaves. Okay guys, so I finished the 5 leaves, and I also did the 2 slip stitches to end off the row. So now I'm just going to tie this off. And you don't need to leave a long string for the leaves either. So here is the set of leaves that we just made, and you are going to want to make as many of these as you are making flowers. So I once again am planning on doing 5 flowers. I'm not sure if I'm going to be adding a 6th or not yet, but I'm planning on doing 5. So personally I'm going to have to make 2 more leaves because I already have 3 now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that over the course of the next couple of days, or even just today maybe, so that I can assemble these once I get home. So again, the format of the rest of this tutorial is going to be a little bit different just because I'm going to be in a different location at my house, and also because we are going to be assembling flowers. So I will see you guys in a couple of days, but for you guys it will be just a few seconds, and yeah, I'll see you then. Hey guys, bet you didn't expect to see my face in this video. Well, here it is. So I'm back home now, and I have all of the flowers and leaves. Sorry if you hear background noise. And now I'm gonna start on assembling the flowers. So there are tutorials out there, just so you know, if you really need to know how to like assemble flowers for the very first time. But I am kind of gonna show you, just not like super in-depth, just because I want to get these done. So I'm gonna grab out some stems first, and I did 5 flowers. Again, I might need to make 1 more, I don't know yet, but I am going to grab out 5 stems. And again, these are 12-inch 18 gauge gouge, I don't know the word. I got these on Amazon. I like them, but this is just what I use. I have the dark green yarn that I'm gonna use to first wrap the stems with, and then I will also be gluing the flowers and leaves together. And then I bought these. This is gold beads. This is the only thing I could find in my town, so I'm hoping it works. It's just like those gold necklaces from the dollar store, and then I'm gonna cut them off. I'll show you the whole process, but I've got my glue gun plugged in. I've got some extra glue sticks if I need them. And yeah, I'm going to be using the full length of wire. Sometimes I will cut them down, but I don't think I'm going to for these. and I'm gonna start it by just wrapping all of these. So for the first one, I will show you in depth how I do this, but I'm gonna give you a little warning and tell you I don't have much of a method down. I kind of just go for it. So I'll change the camera and show you guys the wrapping of the first one. Okay guys, so this is the angle we're gonna be working with. I don't know why I did that, whatever. So I'm gonna grab my first stem and then my yarn. And I'm gonna start by working with the thicker end. Mine have thinner ends on them. I don't really know if yours will, but yeah, I'm gonna start on the thicker end. This is gonna be the top of the flower, just because if it looks bad, I can hide it. So that's just to be honest with you. And then I have some sticky notes here because I'm really professional. And yeah, I'm gonna start by putting a little dab of glue here right on the very tip, and then I'm gonna be securing my yarn on. So let me show you that. That was too much. So I sometimes like to drag it down with the little nozzle tip part and drag it down the rest of the stem, because you don't want big globs. You'll just be able to see the glue and everything. Also, I do recommend using a clear glue for this. And then I'm just wrapping. Be careful not to burn yourself. It might happen, but just be careful. And you can see I'm using my left hand to twist the stem, and I'm using my right hand to guide the yarn along. And then once you run out of glue space, you're just gonna let go. And then you'll see that is the top of my stem. You want to do this as tightly as you can, but honestly, like, this is a handmade project. It doesn't need to be perfect. And you want to try and get your glue around the stem as much as possible. You'll see I'm kind of gluing both sides, but honestly, as long as you've glued it somewhat down, all the way down, I've never had issues with this like coming apart or anything, so you should be fine. And you might see me kind of changing up my approach as I go down, just because like the way that you hold it kind of has to change. But yeah, this is basically what I do all the way down. I will keep kind of filming, talking with you guys while I do this stem, and then I'll show you the rest once they're all complete. So just a thin layer of glue on there. Grab that yarn with my right hand, and then I'm guiding it down with the left hand. This can get a little bit tedious if you have to do a whole bunch of them, but just like put on a show or something and you'll be fine. Also, usually I will do bigger sections than this, but I just kind of wanted to show you in like a more neat manner. See how I'm just like barely pressing down the glue gun and like dragging it across really quickly, so that we don't get any of those balls of glue, because those will be visible through the yarn. And then if you get any like glue gun strings, like glue strings, you can just pull those off once it's completely dry. Like, don't worry about that. While you're wrapping the stem, just focus on wrapping. And then if your glue does like dry, like mine's kind of drying as I'm wrapping it here, like that's dry. I don't want that. So I'm just gonna kind of go back until it was no longer not stuck. I'm really good at explaining, guys. But I'm just gonna re-glue. That's why you just want to do thin layer, especially in case you have to do a little bit of extra glue. You just don't want it to become really like globby. You want to make it like look as natural as possible, even though again it is a handmade project, so it's never going to be absolutely perfect, and that's completely fine, because I think that just makes it more cute, you know. We are still just twisting all the way down. I think I'm gonna need a little bit more glue even. And once I get to the bottom, I'll show you a little bit how I like to kind of secure it at the very end, because I kind of do it in a specific way. I don't know. But also, once I get closer to the end, I do kind of like to switch my approach. So I've added the glue on there, and you'll see I've switched hands, sort of. So I'm now holding the entire stem in my left hand, and then I'm using my right hand to wrap it around like this rather than like, I don't know, closer to the stem. just because I find this quicker and easier, but you can continue doing it the way that you were doing it before. It's mostly just whatever feels comfortable to you. That will work for me. There's actually no rules to this. Now that I've made it all the way down, there's just a little bit left. I'm gonna cut the yarn pretty close. Sometimes I leave a little extra, just like that. But you'll see that's kind of a wonky end. So I'm just gonna take the glue gun, and it's actually hot enough that it will melt the yarn. So we're just gonna kind of press it down. I'm not even pressing the button down right now, like to get glue out. I'm just using that hot end, and I'm using it to secure the end of the yarn down. So just like this. And then if you have any like little like furry bits or like frayed yarn bits, you just kind of use that hot nozzle to kind of put them down like that. You can see there's a little glue string on there, but that's fine. And that is how I like to secure it. So this is my first stem all done. I hope that you guys kind of understood. I am clearly not very good at explaining, but again, it doesn't look perfect, but I think it looks pretty cute. And so I'm gonna repeat this on the final 4 stems. I'm realizing now that this is 5, but pretend like it's 4. And once I'm done that, I will come back to you. If you guys need a little bit more in depth, again, I would recommend watching a like specific video on how to wrap the stems and everything, but I'm sorry if my explanation was not that good. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do this now. I'll do a little time lapse, and then we will move on to assembling the actual flower parts. Okay, so I have the 5 stems ready now. So I've gotten out like the first flower. Honestly, like, I've never done this before, so I probably shouldn't be showing you this very second, but I am. So we're gonna start with the leaf. You want them to all be like right side up, obviously. We're going to start by stacking them. So don't worry about the ends, like just make sure they're not in the way, but we'll deal with them later. So I'm gonna grab the leaf, and then I'm gonna grab the large petals, and I'm going to put glue right in the center of the leaf. Just like a little ring of glue in the center there. And then I am just kind of tucking that string in here. And then you want it to be on an angle, so not right stacked over top for this one. Like don't line them up, line them into the gaps. And then we're going to just put it on. And then I'm just gonna kind of adjust it here for a minute just to make sure it's where I want it. And then once I have it where I want it, I'm gonna press it down. And I'll just hold it for a couple seconds, but I will go in and add some more glue, so it doesn't need to be like fully secure yet. You saw that I kind of tucked the first string from the magic ring of the red part just kind of underneath when I was gluing it. And I think with this one, I'm just going to cut it a little shorter and hide it underneath the smaller petals. Also, sorry if you hear my sister, who decided right now would be an ideal time to microwave her lunch.
I'm so sorry.
So I'm just cutting that small. And then I'm gonna be layering this one on. This one will have also 2 ends, so I'm gonna cut this one short. And then this one I'm gonna go ahead and glue down underneath because we're not gonna be able to hide this one as easily. So I'm gonna grab it and like pull it underneath with some glue. So let me just put a little bit of glue. I'm gonna put it kind of in the center. So just a little bit of glue, and then I'm gonna be taking the string that we like cut off at the very end of the project, and I'm gonna be pulling it down underneath the project, and then I'll cut it short afterwards. But I just want to get that glue in there, get it stuck down underneath. Try not to touch the glue. like I did. Don't worry, it's not hot anymore. And then now that that's glued down to the bottom, I'm just gonna trim it as well so that we can't see the rest. Now the small petals are ready. So I'm just gonna check on this, see how much more glue it's gonna need. You'll see that it's kind of coming up on the sides. So I'm now just gonna go in and fine tune the gluing here. So I'm just gonna go around to each petal and I'm gonna put a little dot of glue and then press it down. Just make sure that you don't put too much glue so that it like oozes out, but you also want to have a good amount on there. And I'm just gonna keep rotating around here and adding some more glue. And again, if you kind of make any mistakes, like if there's any of like the glue strings visible, you can go back once it's all dried up and just pick them off. It's really easy. I always do that at the very end of my flower projects, just like go around, get any glue off of there. And then while I'm doing this, I will also glue down that red end that I left. Just gonna glue it right down into the middle before I go ahead and secure the small petals on. This is looking pretty secure now, so I will go ahead and glue that end down. And I know that this is not the best angle, guys. I'm sorry, but honestly, you're just gluing the flowers together. You got this, I promise. All right, so now, like I said I was gonna do, I'm just gonna glue this end down. As long as your ends are hidden and everything though, honestly, once again, no rules. You can do this your way. This is how I do it though. I am cutting that extra off. May have been a little unnecessary now, but that's okay. And then keeping the right side up, I'm going to be stacking this one on, but I'm going to be doing it in line with the green leaves. So you'll want to line all the small petals with the green leaves. It doesn't need to be perfect. No real flower is perfect, but you don't want them in line with the red leaves. You don't want them stacked on top of each other like that. You want to turn it so that these small petals are going in the gaps of the large petals. And again, they will kind of line up with the green leaves. So I'm gonna do a ring of glue. I might also do a little bit of glue on the small petals here. Just on the bottom, like right here, I'll do a little glob there. And then I just wanna line this up without pressing down first. So you'll see I'm just kind of lining it up here, making sure all the small leaves are in the large leaf gaps. And then I'm gonna be pressing it down once I'm happy with the way that that looks. And you just wanna press this down for a few seconds. The glue dries pretty quickly, so you don't have to worry about holding it down for an insane amount of time. And then, like I did with the red, larger leaves, we're gonna be going around and just making sure that all of the center part is glued down. So once this is all dry, I'll be doing that. But yeah, guys, this is what the flower looks like so far. I think it looks pretty cute. I'm really happy with it. And once I'm done going around gluing this down, I'm just going to glue this flower onto the stem. And I'll show you how I'm gonna do that, because also with this specific bouquet, I'm gonna want to kind of bend the stems a little bit. So I don't think that I'm gonna suggest using like a wooden rod for these stems. You can if it's all that you have, but I think I'm gonna wanna be bending them a little bit just so that we can have the flowers arranged nicely in the vase rather than all sticking straight up, because these flowers are fairly large and I don't want them to all just be sticking straight up, because I don't feel like it would have the best look in this particular bouquet. Although I don't always need to bend stems in my bouquets, I feel like this one's gonna be a little bit more important for that. So I have just gone around, finished up my gluing. And again, there's still gonna be some glue strings on there, it's fine. But yeah, this is gonna be our first flower. I'm actually going to go ahead and finish gluing down all of these. I'll also be cutting these green loose ends and gluing them down just so that they're not visible. Just as long as you're not looking at the bottom, they won't be visible anyway. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. And then I'll come back and we will secure them on to the stems. Okay guys, so I've now finished all 5 of the flowers. I just put them upside down. I covered this one, but it doesn't really matter. So I just wanted to quickly talk about before we get into putting the stems on. If you're using gold beads like me, I'm probably gonna do them after and just see how that turns out, just because I want to be able to like really push the stem on there without worrying about the beads falling off. But I will show you me adding them after. But if you are using like yellow yarn or like the yellow centers that I kind of told you how you could make, I would recommend putting those on now, just putting a little bit of glue and putting them on, just because it's just like crochet, just like the rest of it, so it makes sense to put it on now. But I'll let you know if I like, you know, putting the beads on at the very end. I don't know, I'm just assuming I will, because I won't have to be as forceful with it after I glue the beads on. So yeah, I am now going to move on to putting the stems on. So I'm going to just start with one of the ones I didn't make like right now, because the other ones are just kind of drying. So I'm just going to take a stem, and there'll be kind of a small hole where you did your magic ring, but like I close them up pretty tight, so it's a little bit tricky to do this. But I'm gonna first start by just inserting the stem into the bottom, like upside down into the green leaf, and trying to push it through. But again, this might just not happen, because especially with the glue that you put on there, it might just not really go in. So I'm gonna try my best to just kind of make a little hole here, and then after we'll go in with our glue. Okay, honestly, that didn't really work. I probably should have done this before, but whatever. So I'm just going to do a little dab of glue right in the center of that leaf, and then I'm gonna insert, it's the thicker side, like I mentioned before. I don't know if you will have a thin side, but I use the thick side. I'm just gonna do a little dot of glue, and then I'm gonna stick this straight down in. Even though I'm gonna be bending the stem, I'm not gonna do it quite yet. And I'm just gonna push this, like, honestly, as hard as I can into the center, and just hope that it is in the right spot. And you'll see that I have the flower flat, and then I'm pushing the stem straight down into it. And then once this is completely dry, I'm gonna go ahead and glue around the stem to make it super secure, especially because I wasn't able to stick it through the crochet work. I want to make sure that it's nice and secure on there, it's not going to fall off. So as you can see, it's kind of like literally shaking, like I'm pressing it down really hard, and it's okay if it like ends up being on kind of an angle though, because we're going to be bending it. So that looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to take my glue and glue around the stem. You're not going to want to do a thick layer, just because like the less visible the glue is, the better, and this is going to be kind of visible. But yeah, I'm just doing a thin layer, and I'm kind of dabbing it around, turning, and then repeating that all the way around. And this is gonna just make a little bit of a glued like seal around the stem. Honestly, like typically I would hardly do this, but because of the way that this had to be glued on, that is what's gonna work for this. I've got a lot of glue little strings here. I don't know if you can see that, but that is completely fine. I'm just gonna sit here and hold this down for a few minutes. I'm gonna really push it down into there as hard as I can, and then once I see that the glue is kind of not shiny anymore and it's dried, I will show you what it looks like. Okay, you'll see that this one is kind of standing up right there. I'm just gonna repeat that process with every single stem and flower that I made. This one just needs a little bit of extra gluing on the stem, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that first. And then it looks like this one's not really gonna have much of a hole for us either, so I'm gonna go right ahead and add that glue down right in the center, and then taking the thicker end, we're just gonna push it straight down into the flower. And I'm just gonna go ahead and repeat this on every single flower. Also guys, while I'm doing this, I just wanted to say, do not use super glue for this, because it can actually create a chemical reaction and be really dangerous. Like, it interacts with the acrylic yarn for some reason, so make sure that you don't use that. I've never tried that, but I've just heard, so make sure to use hot glue. It will work completely fine. You could even use like a white glue, but that will just take forever, so I wouldn't suggest it. But yeah, definitely no super glue for this. This works just fine. Hey guys, so I'm now just like gluing the beads together in threes. I'm just doing 3 for this because I was only able to find like bigger ones, but if I think it needs more, I'll just add them after. So this is like my little bead trio thing. I'm just gonna make a few of these. I just glued them together with a little bit of glue, and I'm cutting them off the string, and then I'll show you me applying them. I just thought I'd show you guys, I'm using this nail file, and I'm going around and filing down the like string part, this one's gonna fall apart. But I'm just doing this gently. I should have done this before I glued them, but I didn't really know I would want to. It's just like a little bit too visible for my liking. So I just wanted to give this solution just in case anybody happens to use these like beaded necklaces to do this. That's what I'm doing. Okay guys, I'm now going to be gluing these gold centers on. So I'm just going to start out by doing the 3 like I said, but I might add more after, I'm not really sure. So I'm just going to take my glue and put a little bit of like a circle in the center. I want it to be pretty small this time though. And then I'm just going to fit the gold beads right in there. And then, sorry, I'm just gonna look at it so you're not gonna be able to see for a minute, but I'll show you again. I'm just lining it up to make sure that it's exactly how I want it here. So you can see that's how it looks, nice and centered. And I'm just gonna hold this down for a few minutes just to make sure it's secure on there. And I still haven't bent the stems yet, just so you guys know. I figure I can do that without causing too much like stress on these beads, I guess. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, that is what it's going to be looking like. I think it looks so cute. And we're just going to repeat that on every single flower. Okay, one last step, guys, that I've decided to do before bending the stems is just going to be kind of attaching the green leaves to the small petals or like underneath, however I can, just with a little bit of glue, because I've noticed if you hold it like this, they kind of droop down a little, which is not what I'm going for. You can do that if you want to. Maybe on some of them I'll leave it just so it looks more like organic, but I am going to glue some of them down. So I'll just quickly show you how I'm planning on doing this. Just putting a little bit of glue tucked underneath of the leaf. And then I'm just gonna pinch the small leaf that aligns with it together. And I'm not putting like glue directly on that leaf, but just in case it kind of gets on it, I want them to be kind of stuck down together. And that's just what I'm gonna be doing now. And then I'll come back to bend the stems with you guys. Okay guys, so I have this vase that I'm going to be using to put the flowers in. They're a little tall, so I might end up cutting them, but I'll let you know if I do. So I just kind of bent the first flower like this. That's what it looks like. And I'm going to repeat that now. So I'm just take the flower and then kind of close to the top, but not the very top, right about here, I'm going to be bending it and just bend it a little bit because the weight of the flower will also bend it down in the vase. I'm just going to stick it in. See how it will bend a little bit more once it's in that vase. And then I'm not going to bend the last one because I want it to stick up. But the more I'm looking at this, I can tell that at least if I put them in this vase, I'm going to want the stem shorter. So I will be doing that. I also don't really want to use this vase in general anymore because the base of it is too wide. You know what I mean? I would have to tie them together, which I also could do. But yeah, I'm just bending all of these a tiny bit, and they can be bent back if I don't like them like that anymore. And then this final one will go right in the center. But yeah, I actually do not like the way this vase looks. So see, it would look so cute if it was like this, but they aren't. So I'm gonna go find a different vase and we'll put it in that one instead. Okay guys, so I found a different vase and this one definitely looks a lot better, but I still think I'm gonna go in and kind of attach these together so that it's more straight like that. And then I don't know, I might have to do another flower. Guys, I have a feeling I'm gonna want to do one more flower right here. That sucks. But yeah, I think it looks so cute in general. I'm sorry this tutorial is a little like my first time ever doing this, but I will definitely go back in editing and fix all of that so you won't have to worry. But yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do securing flowers together, and I am going to make one more, unfortunately. And then this will be all complete. Okay guys, it has been a few days, but I have made the 6th flower. I just did it off camera, but you guys will have already done that. So let me show you the finished bouquet. Here is the finished flowers. I do think I'm going to trim them at the base just so that they're a little less tall. See how they kind of are quite tall. But I also wanted to mention I did tie a knot down here I just secured it with some of the green and then tucked it in, and I wrapped it around a few times just to make it nice and secure. But that is the way that I have arranged them to be kind of like tightly fit together. And yeah, I'm super happy with how it came out. I'm just kind of going around now, fine-tuning the petals like this and removing any of those glue strings that are still on there. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial and that you made some stunning, amazing poinsettia flowers. Let me know if you made these and how they turned out for you. And yeah, I thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to like it if you liked it and subscribe to see more videos like this one. I'm gonna go give these to my mom as an early Christmas gift, but I will see you guys very soon. Bye.